Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, hello, everyone. There was a brief moment there where I didn't know that, I didn't know if that was actually going to connect, because sometimes my browser likes to act a little finicky, but we made it. We're here. Happy Friday, everyone. It is Friday, and that means it is time for Happy Hour. Happy Hour is a stream that we do on Fridays at 5 p.m. where we kick back, we grab a beverage of choice, and we do basically what we do every single day on this channel, which is we watch a woke training from start to finish, and we talk about it. And this week's training is going to be extra special because the guys over at Myth-Informed this week had this here little viral video in which they found this anti-racist educational session that this women's soccer player, and I don't follow women's soccer at all. I don't know anything about that. But like, I mean, they're all lesbians. That's kind of my impression. And lesbians generally are very attracted to me, and so I try to stay as far away from like groups of lesbians as possible. Not that I don't like, I appreciate it. It's very flattering. It's just that like I'm not a lesbian, and so if I go too close to like groups of lesbians, I feel like they're all getting their phones out and like calling U-Haul or whatever, and they're like gonna follow me home or something. So I don't cavort with women's soccer players for what I think should be obvious reasons. But here's the thing. It's so this woman, Abby, basically did this podcast, and apparently Abby is like married to like this really, really woke woman. And they do a podcast in which in this one in particular, Abby was being educated by this anti-racist trainer, and the guys at Myth-Informed found it, and they put a clip of it on Twitter, and it went kind of like viral. And so in this clip, what I especially appreciate about it, and actually let's just listen to it. Let's just check it out. And actually, if you're looking for the clip, let me actually show you where you can actually find it. So, if you're looking for this clip, the best place to find it, instead of searching all through Twitter and going through all that stuff, the best place to find it is actually to head over to my Substack, because I'm in the process of creating a video library on my Substack, so you don't have to go search through the bowels of Twitter, so you don't have to go search through the bowels of YouTube. All the stuff that you're going to need to show people what the woke left is doing and what they're talking about and what they say is going to be available in the video vault on my Substack. So if you go to my Substack, right up here in the top corner, it's also on the homepage right now because I just posted it. But if you ever are looking for it, the top corner, the video vault, go into the video vault, and you're going to have a list of videos that you can use that are socialists telling you what they believe. And so it's like a really quick, easy way to find that stuff. And in this one, let's just listen to what happened, because I have been telling people forever, it seems. I only have to repeat it every single day of my life. I have been telling people that whiteness means capitalism for damn near 3 years now. And people still don't believe me. They're like, no, Carlin, no, it has to be about skin color. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I know you want to feel like a poor, abused victim of the system. I know you want to think that white people are put upon in society. Hint, they aren't. I know that you don't like yourself very much, and so you need to feel that the reason you didn't get the job is because people are just discriminating against white people, but that's not actually what's happening. Every single time these people talk about white supremacy, they don't actually mean white supremacy, they mean capitalism. And in this little clip that we're going to watch, you're going to see that come through. It's less than a minute long. Let's listen.
Oh, let me say something else. Right? Let me say something else. Because again, I told you, I'm an independent people's worker. I'm happy that your people want to give me their money and they want to support me. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you. Trust me. Thank you. But at the same time, when we start talking about intersectionality, which is white supremacy, which is gender, which is capitalism, Americans, white people, I need you to know that your money will not assuage you from your guilt. You cannot pay your way out of this. There aren't enough reparations in the world that you can pay us. And so you think because you write a check or you slide me something in Venmo that you're absolved, and you can tell somebody, well, I gave Dr. Blay $100. I'm not racist. Dr. Blay is going to spend your $100 and still tell you that you're racist.
And why is that? Why is Dr. Blay still going to spend your $100 and tell you you're racist? Because Dr. Blay doesn't care about skin color. Dr. Blay doesn't care if you're nice to Black people. Dr. Blay doesn't care if you support Black people. The reason that Dr. Blay is going to take your money from you and then still call you a racist is because what Dr. Blay is interested in is abolishing systemic racism. And systemic racism is caused by capitalism, because capitalism caused slavery, slavery caused systemic racism, therefore capitalism caused systemic racism, and the only way to get rid of systemic racism is to get rid of capitalism. That is why every single time these people say whiteness, white supremacy, racism, any derivation of those terms, what they are really talking about is capitalism. Capitalism, private property. And that's how they define it, by the way. I'm not having a conversation about crony capitalism or corrupt capitalism or any of that. How these people define capitalism is directly related to private property, to individualism versus collectivism. And their definitions, so far as I'm concerned, are the only ones that really matter, because they are the ones controlling language in society today. Beth said, that's why this $10 is going to me instead of Dr. Blay. Thank you, Beth. I do appreciate it. So, guys, that video went viral on Twitter last week. And I have to tell you, I was actually so excited because this woman who goes by Mayor Kate on Twitter, she's a libertarian. She actually retweeted the video, and I wish I had been able to find the tweet before it started, but I was just doing other things. She retweeted the video and said, "Huh, what has Carlin been telling us forever, that this is about capitalism? Like, when are you people going to start listening to Carlin, because she's telling you this is all about capitalism, and this video kind of seems to make it out to be that it's about capitalism." Huh. But that's not my point. That's not my point. My larger point is that I have the full discussion between the two of them. I have the full hour and 5-minute long discussion between Abby, the soccer player, the lesbian soccer player, and the black anti-racist trainer who believes that whiteness is capitalism. And because this is happy hour and it's Friday, I thought we would watch the whole thing. You're all welcome. This is going to be extra woke. It's going to be extra cringe. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And what we're going to do is I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you guys exactly what the language means. This is going to be like, we watch a lot of like hardcore socialism on this channel. And so my audience is very used to, like, I mean, the furthest of the far left. What we're going to see in this, though, happy hour, I try to keep it a little bit lighter. Happy hour is kind of like 1 to 2 steps below full on socialists. Like, what we're going to see here is these are woke progressives. Abby doesn't know what the fuck is going on. She is a useful idiot. She is a woke progressive that has gotten, like, probably conned into all of this by her wife. And so this is a little bit more of like an entry level way. This is not going to be the hardest core socialism. We're going to be able to understand them. It's going to be much better. Yes, Prometheus. There was a clip that went viral of her last week. And so I have the full video that the viral clip came from. And that's what we're going to be watching today, guys. Welcome to Happy Hour. I hope you are all ready for a nice, fun, leftist, cringe-filled day. It's going to be great. Now, before we get into it, a couple orders of business. Number one, I want to give an update because this week I laid out a challenge on my Substack in that I need, in order to be able to fund what I'm doing, because October was a rough month. I'm not going to lie. It's not like, listen, I'm not like people have been DMing me like, Carlin, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything okay? Like, I'm not like in the poorhouse or anything, guys, but like there are just business realities that come with being an independent journalist. And one of those business realities is I have a business plan. And that business plan calls to reach certain milestones to be able to fund my work, to be able to justify spending time doing it when I could spend time doing other things. Because listen, my greatest asset is my time. It's the time that I spend watching all these woke trainings. It's the time I spend breaking them down. It's the time I spend making clips of them. It's the time I spend writing articles for the Substack, etc., etc., etc. My greatest asset that I have, the most valuable thing I have, is my time. And if I'm putting my time towards thing A, but thing B is actually what can make me more money and fund my work, like, then and thing A is actually, even if thing A is actually more important, and I think that the work I'm doing with my Substack and with my long form streams and with the clips and all that stuff, I think that's actually much more important. The thing of it is, though, I need to reach certain funding levels in order to justify doing it. This is just a business reality. Creating the content that I do especially costs money. I keep my costs and overhead pretty low, so it doesn't cost a ton of, like, you look at something like Project Veritas. Do you guys have any idea how much like, let me see some guesses in the chat. I actually know the answer to this. Do you guys have any idea how much it cost Project Veritas to produce one story? Do you guys have any ideas? How much do you think it cost Project Veritas to produce before they went under? For reasons, we're not going to talk about that. But when they were still like operating, how much do you think it cost Project Veritas to produce one single story? Bot guesses 100K. Oh no, way higher. Way higher. 5,000? Nope, way higher. It is over 100,000. It is over. I heard it cost anywhere between 150 and $250,000 for Project Veritas to produce one story. One. Do you know how much it cost me to go undercover at the socialism conference? About $3,000. And that produced a whole bunch of stories out of that. So the reason I say this is my costs relative to like other journalism that's being done out there, extremely low, but it does cost money and that requires funding. And so what I'm asking is that in order to keep on track with the business plan that I have to make all of this a viable enterprise, I need everyone to chip in. If everyone who values my work and could afford to financially support it just chipped in at the monthly level, I would have so much like funding that I'd be able to go to so many conferences and infiltrate them. I would be able to have so much time doing this stuff. I would be able to hire people to help me do this stuff. I would be able to bring other people to events with me to get greater coverage. Like the resources would be insane. But I do know that like not everyone can afford to do that. I do know that it takes a while for people to understand that things actually do cost money. So what I'm asking is by the end of the year, I need 200 more paid supporters to my Substack beyond what I already have in order to continue to keep this viable, excuse me. And the reason that I'm doing it this way is because I don't want to have to rely on big donors who are inevitably going to tell me what to do and what to say and what I can't say. I don't want to have to rely on the same people spending more and more money because I know my community loves me and I know they will support me, but they're already doing their part. I have thousands of people every single day who read my Substack. And I'm asking 200 of them who have not yet financially supported it to step up by the end of the year. And in order to do that, I've broken it down by month. In the month of November, I would like to get 100 new supporters. In the month of December, another 100 new supporters after that. And we're already 30% of the way there for the month of November. So that's really good. We're 3 days in. Maybe we can even knock out the entire 200 subscriber goal by the end of November. That'd be pretty great. And then I'll stop pestering you guys after that. But there are realities here that need to be met. And what I'm asking people is to sign up for $8 a month. That's it. $8 a month or $80 a year. And that helps fund what I'm doing. And I need 200 people to do that by the end of the year in order to continue to make this a viable thing and in order to set up 2024 so I can go to many more conferences, many more events, because the money that I make from this is reinvested in what I'm doing in both time and in being able to do other projects as well. And so that's what you're funding. And if you can afford to financially support this, you're going to be helping out people who can't afford to financially support it. Because until I meet that 200 person goal, every single article that I'm publishing on my Substack is going to be subscriber only. You're going to get a free preview for people who are subscribed for free. But if you want the meat of the article, if you want the really good stuff, that's all going to be behind a paywall because I need to encourage people to actually do this. Okay. In my ideal world, I would like every single thing on my Substack to be completely free. But this is to encourage people who can financially support my work, who haven't done so yet, to sign up. So if you can do that, sign up today over at Carlyn, Karlyn, .substack.com. Again, $8 a month or $80 a year. And you guys are the ones that keep me in business. And I do really appreciate it. Tayton, thank you for the super chat. I tweeted a really good video YouTube channel at you earlier today. Hopefully you watch it sometime. Can we do like a throwback Thursday where we watch content from 5 to 15 years ago? I mean, maybe, Tayton, it really depends on the content. We do watch older content sometimes, so I'm not going to do like a regular weekly thing where we're watching old content, but like maybe definitely like, can you just shoot that into my DMs? Because I get so many notifications sometimes that I don't even see a lot of the things that get tweeted at me or like that mention me, to be honest. So if you could slide that into my DMs, I would really appreciate it. The other thing I want to let people know is that I am in the process of turning over the merch in my Unwoke Art merch store because it is about to be holiday season, and so I'm adding a whole bunch of new merch to the merch store. We're gonna be taking stuff out of the merch store, replacing it with new stuff, and I want to show you guys what I launched last night. Check this out. This is one of my newest designs, the Mad Hatter design, and I'm like, I am so in love with this design. I knew I wanted to have a Mad Hatter design. I knew I wanted to, like, I've kind of got like an Alice in Wonderland type vibe going with my signature collection. I'm a very big fan of like the symbolism in Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland is a very big like inspiration point for me. When I went to London 2 years ago and I went to the Victoria and Albert Museum, they had a special Alice in Wonderland like exhibit, and I was just like enthralled by this. I got so many like souvenirs from this, and it's been one of the things that's kind of constantly been on my mind. So I am working up like a whole kind of like Alice in Wonderland inspired collection, and I've got this Mad Hatter shirt. And I want this sweatshirt. I've never made this type of sweatshirt before for merch, but like I just want to I want to get like a really oversized version of this and like cut off the collar and have it be like all drapey and 80s and stuff like that. And so this is the We're All Mad Here design. And this is a new collection in the store. You can find it right on the homepage right now. I'm going to be adding some other merch to it, but these are the ones I have up right now. I have it in a mug. I have it in a hoodie. I have it in that sweatshirt. And of course, I have it in the classic t-shirt. I'm going to be putting some posters and prints up as well. I just didn't get a chance to do it before the stream went live. And so we're going to be turning over the merch in the Unwoke Art Store. And all purchases from that do also go to support the work I'm doing, which I really do appreciate. And I love doing the merch. I think I have one of the coolest merch stores on the internet. Bot's merch store is actually getting cooler than mine, which I'm getting a little jealous. I'm like, Bot is forcing me to up my game in the merchandise department. So it is. And so we've got some other stuff too. We've got the All Tears Are Tasty collection. Yes, Trendolin, I will do a woman's cut shirt, I promise. But here's the thing with the women's cut shirts. You guys always complain about the sizing. Like, the reason I don't do women's cut shirts is because people always complain about the fucking sizing. And I'm like, you all know, anyone who buys women's cut shirts knows that the sizing on women's cut shirts is always messed up. It's always messed up. So I normally don't do women's cut shirts because I don't want to fucking deal with it, okay? Just buy the normal shirt. Anyway, I've got all sorts of great stuff in the merch store. I'm going to be adding some more over the weekend, so I'm really looking forward to that. So that's another place where you can support my work. And again, I do appreciate it. Tayton, the particular one I found is some lady from the Conspiracy Theory. Oh, yeah, I don't know if I want to watch that one, Tayton, to be honest with you. Like, I just don't know. It seems a little like, so what to me. I did see that earlier now that you're mentioning it. Like, it was just kind of like, okay. That was my initial impression anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. There are times when I am in fact wrong. But I wasn't, I don't know. Like Naomi Klein, like, I'm like, like, I don't think she has interesting ideas. I don't think that, I mean, she's just like very blah to me for some reason. So, I mean, maybe, but like, maybe I can look into it a little bit more. Maybe I'm wrong, but just again, slide into my DMs and show me. Mark, it's funny that you say that. Guys, check this out. Shout out to Mark. And I had this up. I swear to God, Mark, I literally had this up. Mark yesterday sent me this video. And I wanted to be sure to show this to people before we get started with happy hour today. Jeopardy has been compromised. You know, I keep telling you guys that once you learn how to speak socialist, you will start seeing socialism show up everywhere. Literally everywhere. From the movies to conversations you have at your kids' schools to now Jeopardy. And so shout out to Mark because Mark spotted this and he sent me the video. Jeopardy has been compromised. Let's listen.
Theory, this class is primarily concerned with property values. Emily.
For the bourgeoisie?
Right.
Let's do OEOE for...
So if people didn't hear that, the question is, or the answer is rather, because this is Jeopardy. In Marxist theory, this class is primarily concerned with property values. And the question is, who are the bourgeoisie? So Jeopardy knows. Jeopardy knows. Jeopardy knows that the greatest enemy of the woke left is capitalism, which is synonymous with private property, and that bourgeoisie means the capitalist class. It means the property owners. It means who owns the power structure, who are the landlords, who are the business owners, etc., etc., etc. Guys, the topic does not matter. I'm sorry. The topic does not matter. The point is that even the people at Jeopardy know that the greatest enemy of the woke left is the bourgeois, the capitalists, the private property owners. And so the people at Jeopardy predictably are smarter than people on the conservative right who have not yet figured this out. And yeah, Jeopardy has fallen. What can we say? What can we say? Well, great one. Then you can go back and find the episode and find out for yourself, because I don't actually think you're a supporter of my work. And so why am I doing your homework for you? Go look it up yourself, bucko. People ask me to do stuff for free for them all the time. Like I have all the time in the world. Like I have all the time in the world, bro. Go do your own research. God. All right. Now, with that out of the way, we have one final order of business before we start our presentation for today. And that is, of course, that I need a beer. Because this is happy hour, and what I do before happy hour is I go to the craft beer store and I get 4 beers, and you guys get to vote on which one I drink first. And so let me reach into my little cooler. Hang on. Ta-da! This is actually a rather savory happy hour. Hang on, let me get my keyboard out of the way. This is actually a rather savory happy hour in terms of beer. Gray one, honestly, and I'm going to be very blunt, you keep fucking bitching about, I want to know the Jeopardy topic, 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 I want to know the Jeopardy topic. I'm going to fucking ban you, bro. Stop being an annoying little bitch. Like, right now. Jesus fucking Christ. I swear to God. Yeah, and the reason I say that is, like, I've about, just like side note, I have really about had it with people who expect me to do all of their goddamn research for them. Honestly, go do your own research. I don't work for you. I have enough on my plate already. Continuing to whine and complain that you didn't get the answer you want is not going to fly any longer. Now, 2 more important things that I want to talk about on my stream is beer. Okay? Honestly, my question has always been, what are these people going to do with the capitalists that don't bend the knee? They're going to fucking shoot them, bro! First of all, what they're going to do is they're going to make owning all private property illegal. They're going to do this at a government level. The government is going to seize the means of production. So you're not going to have a choice. If you insist on owning a business after they have told you that it is no longer legal to own a business, they are going to shoot you. Full stop. I'm not joking about that. They're going to shoot you. The minimal thing they're going to do is you're going to go to the re-education gulag, which you're going to wish you had been shot if you go to the re-education gulag. But that's what we're talking about here. That's what we're talking about. So now, back to what I want to talk about, which is beer. We have 4 beers up for selection today. They're all rather savory. The first one is from Old House Ales. This is a rhubarb wheat. Again, kind of on a rhubarb kick with beers. I don't know why rhubarb beer has been showing up in my beer store, but rhubarb beer is pretty great. James Jones, how could they possibly have a property tax when they're going... I swear to God, some people... James Jones, you have been watching my channel religiously for a long ass time. So I'm a little bit, confused about why you think there's going to be a property tax under socialism when socialism is going to ban the ownership of all private property. I'm just a little bit confused because this isn't going to exist. There's also not going to be wealth because the society built on socialism is going to redistribute all the wealth. So there will also not be a wealth tax. These two things are fundamentally counter to what's going to exist in the Marxist utopia. All right. We have a clarification. I apologize for not being clear leading up to socialism. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going to beat this into you guys until you get it. Now, can we please talk about the beer? Can we please? Because we're not getting to the presentation until we talk about the beer. Okay? So the first beer is going to be a rhubarb wheat. I love rhubarb beer. Rhubarb beer is great. Rhubarb in general is great, but this is definitely great too. This is from Old House Ales. I'm not even sure what this is. It is a New Hampshire beer. That's what I thought. And it doesn't have a description. It just says rhubarb wheat. It's a basic bitch beer. But I'm sure it's going to be tasty. That's going to be number 1, which is our rhubarb wheat. Number 2, and we're going in order of light to dark, which is what you should always do when you have beer. You should go in the order of light to dark. Is the next one we have from Pipe Dream Brewing. Pipe Dream Brewing is also New Hampshire brewery. I drink a lot of Pipe Dream beer. I probably should have a Pipe Dream Brewing sponsorship for happy hour. I drink so much of their beer, but they have a pumpkin ale that I haven't tried yet, which is just, it says ale brewed with pumpkin and spices. Let's see. Our seasonal pumpkin ale is brewed with 450 pounds of ripe pumpkin and a special blend of spices to give you a bold, flavorful taste of beautiful New England autumn. That's going to be our pumpkin ale from Pipe Dream Brewing. I also appreciate, like, they've got like a pirate ship on there or something. You guys know I appreciate a good beer can and a jack-o'-lantern. There we go. Jerry says, this is why I love your streams. It's the only black pill that makes me laugh. Like, we might be fucked, but, you know, we don't have to be pissy about it just because society is going to hell in a handbasket and we're descending slowly into the Marxist utopia. At least we have beer, right? At least we have beer. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right, our next beer. And I picked this one partially because the texture of the wrapper is so good. I know you guys can't feel it, but it just has like a good texture. I appreciate things with good texture. There's going to be another New Hampshire. I think all 4 of these might be New Hampshire breweries. We got another New Hampshire brewery. This is 603 Brewery, and this is a coffee cake porter. A smooth, aromatic porter boasting rich roasted notes highlighted by cinnamon and aged over coffee and vanilla beans. And this is 7.5%. It is an imperial. So that's going to be our coffee cake porter. And then the last one, I was like, you know what I need? I need a good peanut butter stout. I haven't had a peanut butter stout in a long ass time. Oh no, this one's from Kansas City. And I don't know how to pronounce the brewery because they have a really long name, but I had to get it because I was in the mood. We have All Hallows Treat, an imperial, also 7.6%, imperial chocolate peanut butter stout. Let's see, what does it say? Sweet and spooky like the perfect Halloween night, All Hallows Treat rekindles your favorite childhood holiday memories. Aromas and flavors of dark chocolate, creamy peanut butter, and a soft vanilla finish with a smooth body and medium mouthfeel. It's perfect throwback that brings you to your first bite of a chocolate peanut butter cup. That's going to be our 4th option for today. So guys, here are your options for beers from light to dark. We've got the rhubarb wheat. We have the pumpkin ale. We have the coffee cake porter. Or we have the peanut butter cup. Let me put the poll in the chat over on YouTube, and I want to say hello to people watching over on Rumble as well. Sorry, Rumble, I can't include you in the poll, but I do appreciate you. I popped out the chat so I can see what you're chatting in. Please make sure, guys, as people are voting, please please do make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you're watching on right now. I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Saturdays, we go live at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. Please make sure you have notifications turned on, all that good stuff. I do appreciate it. And of course, let's make sure you've mounted the like button for me. We do not smash the like button on this channel. We are not horny teenagers. We are not. We are adults. We mount the like button like champions. If you don't feel like mounting the like button today, you can do something else to the like button. You can hold the like button's hand. You can put your arm around the like button. You can give the like button a high five. Let us know what you're doing to the like button. And definitely make sure that you let us know what you're drinking in the chat if you have something fun. Let's see. Jerry says, real talk, Dr. K. I started my coaching business 3 years ago. Should I not bother growing it? No, Jerry, strike while the iron's hot, man. Own that business while you still can, bro. Go for it. Why not? All right, let me see. What is winning? Last chance to vote. We're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I am actually surprised by this. The coffee cake porter. Coffee cake porter came out on top. Actually, let me just let me put my other beer away. Hang on. I'm going to show you guys. I've got my snifter glass today. Hang on. Today, I'm not drinking out of a wine glass. I'm drinking out of this fancy snifter glass that Victor got me at the beer store. It's a Southern Tier glass, which is one of my favorite breweries, but it's always nice to drink out of a snifter. It makes you feel high class. You know, you don't always have to drink out of a beer glass. Again, guys, let us know if you're drinking something fun in the chat for today. Cheers, everyone. Happy Friday. Glad we made it through another week. Exactly. That looks good. I'm going to let that settle a little bit. In the meantime, let's get this party started. We are watching the struggle session that occurred between white lesbian women's soccer Hall of Famer Abby and the black anti-racist trainer Dr. Yaba Blay. And let's just see how this unfolded.
Hello.
Hello.
Very excited about today and looking forward to talking with Dr. Yaba Blay. Hopefully she will.
Wait. Look what closed caption did to Yaba's name. Naba Blay. That's like a closed caption Freudian slip.
Send me a request sooner than later. I hope you guys are doing well. I think that this last week has been so incredible, and the work that happened last week with Share the Mic Now, when Dr. Blay took over my handle here on IG. It's just been, she says, give me 1 sec. So we're going to give her 1 sec. She's just been awesome. We've been emailing and texting all week, talking about what happened and feeling about what happened. Here we go. And here she is coming. Let's hope it works this time. Yes, you're there. I'm so excited.
And I look clear. Can you hear me?
It's clear and I can hear you.
Look at us.
You're making bread.
You look great.
Good for you for making bread.
I'm all put together. I look the exact same every time. Because my hair has really grown out during this pandemic. My blonde. So I've got to just hat it up. That's how I get through. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
So I'm not sure exactly where this when this conversation took place, because I just became aware of this from the Mythinform tweet last week. And so it's entirely possible that this took place several years ago. But remember, socialists still believe we're in a pandemic. People are saying when they see social, like the Hamas protests or whatever, and all those kids are wearing masks, they're like, they're trying to hide their identity. That's why they're wearing masks. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. In their private events that I've been to, they still wear masks. There are still mask mandates at socialist events, and they actually do take it seriously. They think that they're wearing a mask to care for other people, and they really do believe there's a pandemic, and they really do believe that masks will protect them. And so I don't know when this video took place, but it's entirely possible that they could still believe that there's a pandemic.
It's just a lot. The world is a lot right now, and it just seems like every single day is something else, you know, for all of us. And it's a lot. I'm tired, you know, so when I say that I'm tired because there's a lot of stuff coming my way, which is a blessing, and I'm thankful for it, you know. But I'm also tired because there's a lot of emotions to manage and no outlet. It's not like we can go outside and dance and have a drink or, you know, kick it with each other. And so it's this continual kind of like solitude, and it feels like constantly like just, it's all going in, you know? So got to find a way to manage. But overall, I feel good. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. And I just want to give a little background. So last week, Dr. Yaba Blay, this is Dr. Yaba Blay. If you were here, you know her. If not, I just want to introduce her really quick before we kind of get into our little recap and reflection.
Jerry asked a great question. Why do Black socialists always say they are so tired? Jerry, I kid you not. They are doing the emotional labor of educating everyone about their ideas, and they're so tired because they're constantly being put upon to do the emotional labor of doing the work. And if only the white people would step up and confront their inherent racism, and by confront their inherent racism, they mean overthrow capitalism and get rid of it and usher in a Marxist society built on equity. If only people would do that, then they could rest, and they could recover from the arduous nature of doing the work.
On what happened last week and what's been going on. Last Wednesday.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you turn off the comments so the comments aren't scrolling on my face because I'm cute?
Yes, totally. How do I do that?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
Let's see. Does anybody know how to turn off the comments?
Seriously?
Right here, turn off the comments. I did it.
Got it?
Look at me. I feel so proud.
Okay.
So Dr. Yaba Blay is a scholar activist. She's an overall badass. She's now not just a colleague, but a friend, somebody that took over my account on last Wednesday for.
Hey guys, I got to step away for just 1 minute. I know I did this last week too, but like I need to step away for like 1 minute. I'll be right back. I'm going to make this full screen. Let me know if I missed anything. I trust you guys to let me know. Okay, I'll be right back in like under 30 seconds, I promise.
Start the Mic Now campaign. And quite frankly, it was a raging success. Many other women, white women, let Black women take over their IG accounts for the day. And I think that the stats just came in yesterday. It was 15 billion impressions that happened on last Wednesday, which is just incredible. Incredible. And, you know, Dr. Yaba Blay, I just like the Dr. Yaba Blay. It just sounds like a song. Good.
It's like a song. It's okay.
You got letters before, you got letters after your name. I mean, you've been a professor at all these colleges. I mean, the thing that I find most amazing about you is, though you are accomplished and educated and you're out there doing this work, one of the things that I value so much is that you are so real, and you're not hiding behind any of those letters before or after your name. You are just exactly who you are, and you're the kind of woman that needs to be out in front. And that was part of the reason why this campaign was so important to a lot of us white folks, is that we know that Black women especially don't have access as much and as much privilege as we have. So we wanted to lend the very
pop quiz. What does white privilege mean? Pop quiz for the chat. What does white privilege mean? Let me know. What does white privilege mean? No, don't just say capitalism. Don't just say capitalism. It's a little bit more specific. Don't fucking phone this in. Come on. Jamie. Access to the benefits of capitalism. Exactly. White privilege means a beneficiary of capitalism. Benefiting from capitalism. Bach got it. Nick got it. Those who benefit from the system of capitalism. Well, Sarah, you could say the property owner does benefit from the system of capitalism. Prometheus, beneficiary of capitalism. Kristen, property owner, beneficiary. Being the beneficiary. I knew you were going to get there, Rottweiler. Well, this is not wrong, Tyrone. Benefit in the membership in the bourgeois. That's actually not wrong. Part of the ruling class under capitalism. Exactly. Let's see. Good job. Good job, guys. Well done.
Very least that we could do an opportunity for you. And I don't know, did you get any more followers from your experience?
Abby, in a week's time, I have gotten like 22,000 followers.
Wow.
Holy
yeah, and it's funny
shit.
because I posted this meme this weekend.
Wow.
Because I could tell I have a community of folks. Like I feel like my followers are my family. And so I made this post like, hey y'all, letting them know I got 20,000 new followers. And all of them like, who are they? Make them get in the back. They're gonna take you away from us. It was so funny how they were acting like I brought a new baby home. Like, who are these people? But it's interesting to have 20. I mean, I don't do this for numbers. That's first and foremost, right? So the number of followers is not a measure of any success to me necessarily, right? So my thing is just speaking very directly to new followers is like, welcome. I'm glad you saw something that made you want to follow me and see what else I have to say, but also know, and I say clearly and unapologetically that what I've created is a very decidedly Black space in terms of my Instagram spaces. And so what I talk about, what I post, first of all, this is Yaba's page. It's not Dr. Blay's page. So Yaba can give you anything on any given day. I post what I want, number one, right? But I also am very deliberate about creating a Black space, because I see social media as a new media, and it's a media that we now have control over. Many of us don't even have cable anymore. You know what I mean? We don't have to rely upon the mainstream media, and so that we create spaces for us to see ourselves. And so my space is a Black space where I celebrate Blackness, where I talk about things that impact myself and my community, and the voices that are going to be privileged and prioritized in this space are Black. So read the room before you make a comment, because you will get checked. And if that means 20,000 of y'all leave and don't follow me, that's cool too. But I'm not going to adjust who I am to make you feel comfortable.
You know what? I have a great appreciation for that. I do. I was chatting with some of my supporters the other day on our supporter Zoom call, and basically I was given some feedback that maybe I can be a bit harsh at times. Like, duh, I know you guys are all shocked at this, and I like, and I understand why people say that, and I understand why people get scared away. But like, my perspective is twofold on like audience development. Number one, I cannot exist in this space if I can't be authentically who I am, if I'm constantly trying to bend the knee to get people to like me on the internet. Like, I actually have the philosophy that, like, it's much better for people to be a hell no about, like, if like my entire life, people have either loved me or they hated me. Like, I don't have there's no midpoint. You either love me or you hate me. Right. And so if I can get people to say, no, I hate you and leave, that's actually a good thing, because it opens the door for people who do like what I'm doing to be able to stay and grow and all that stuff. And hopefully those people who leave don't go psycho on the internet. But there's also a factor to it of like, if you can't handle me when I fundamentally do want you to be successful, if you can't handle me, you are never going to be able to deal with the left. You are never going to be able to deal with the left at all. You are going to run away and hide under a bed somewhere and pray that the mean leftists don't hurt you because, like, you know, if you can't deal with pushback from someone who actually fundamentally wants you to be better, then you are useless in this fight. I am very sorry. It's just not a good fit. Like, it's me, not you. It's okay for people to not like you on the internet. It really is. Like, I had someone post about me yesterday, and she's like this like, you know, she's basically up in arms over the fact that I don't like that Israel is genociding the Palestinians. I've pissed a lot of people off on my I have pissed a lot of people off with my position that genocide is bad. And so I had this bitch posting about me yesterday. She's like, Carlin is the most hated person on the internet. And I'm like, good. Like, because honestly, if you can't handle me, if you can't handle me, you can't handle life, bro. I'm sorry. Life is way meaner than I can ever hope to be. Anyway.
Well, first of all, thank you for that. I think that it's important that that gets established. A few things just in terms of kind of how this is going to flow. The reason why we wanted to do this is because it was such a success last week. We actually intended to do this on Friday of last week, but we had some internet connections. But I think that was.
I think that's their video.
I was about to say, are we having a flashback?
There it is.
No. Here we are a week later, and I think that so much has happened in that week, and more reflection from my perspective, and we're going to get all into it. But first and foremost, I just want to encourage the white folks who are watching. Most of my followers are predominantly white. What we're going to talk about is much of what Dr. Yaba Blay, Dr. Blay, posted about and talked about with Tarana Burke on their IG Live that day on
Tarana Burke,
this IG Live. And
I know who Tarana Burke is. I'm pretty sure I know Tarana Burke. Hang on. If this is who I think it is, I'm going to be just like so pleased with myself. Hang on. Maybe I don't. Hang on. Cambridge. I could be wrong. I'm just looking this up. Oh, no, I was thinking of someone else. Sorry. I have heard the name Tarana Burke, though. Is she the Me Too lady? Tarana Burke is the Me Too lady. That's who that is. Tarana Burke is the woman who started the Me Too hashtag. She went nuts, too. Anyway, sorry for being wrong. Let's keep going.
I think for me, this might bring up some stuff for us white folks. And these conversations aren't easy because, you know better than most, Dr. Blay, that the worst thing that a white person can be called is a racist, right? And that's going to bring up some stuff. Some of the things that we talk about here today are hard and emotional. And I think that what we need to do, especially as those white folks who have been privileged and in power,
beneficiary of capitalism,
what we see on the media and the protests and all of the things that have been happening in our world recently, I think it's a call for all of us to be able to sit and listen and educate ourselves on what is real. Because, and I'll say this out loud, and I've said this, I'm fairly new to.
Heidi says, sorry for being wrong is the first thing I hear when I open your stream. Who are you and what have you done? I am wrong probably once a month. You know, you got to give yourself some slack. It's okay to be wrong once a month. No one's perfect. And it's okay to admit when you're wrong too. And when you're wrong as rarely as I'm wrong, you just have to take ownership of it. Set a good example. All that. Thanks for stopping by, Jerry. See you soon.
to this conversation. And it's embarrassing to say, as a person who was leading our women's national team, I was a captain of our women's national.
You know, Mark, I was thinking about this earlier. Mark says you were not a racist, actively unwoke. So what Mark is referencing is the introduction to my book, Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. You can find the link to buy it in the description below. The introduction to my book is called You Are Not a Racist, in which I repeat over and over and over and over and over again, you're not a racist. You're not a racist for believing this. You're not a racist for believing that. They're going to try to make you think you're a racist, but you are not a racist. You have to inoculate yourself from believing that you are racist. And I was doing the research for that book, I think around the same time as this presentation happened, because back in 2020, like, there was this whole rash of like everyone was a racist for every single reason, and you really did have to inoculate yourself to the idea that like you're going to be called a racist if you push back against the left in any way, shape, or form. You are going to be called a racist, and you just have to inoculate yourself to the idea and accept that it's going to happen, and then say, okay, well, just because you call me a racist doesn't mean I'm actually a racist. But I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm like, you know what I need to do? I need to rewrite the first chapter of my book to be called You Are Not an Anti-Semite. You are not an anti-Semite because you don't think the Palestinian people should be genocided. You are not an anti-Semite if you do not support foreign aid to Israel, who doesn't even need it in the first place because they have one of the most finely honed military and intelligence outlets in the world. And if Israel can't handle a bunch of guys in hang gliders and trucks with homemade missiles that don't even have a tank, then I just don't know what Israel is doing. You are not a racist for questioning United States involvement in Israel. You are not a racist because you don't think that Israel should be allowed to do like whatever they want in the world. You are not a racist if you have a problem with Israel bombing a school in Gaza, which they did yesterday. You are not a racist if you have a problem with Israel bombing hospitals, cancer treatment centers, refugee camps, killing over 9,000 Palestinians, half of which are children. You are not a racist or an anti-Semite or any of these things. I think I said racist when I should have said anti-Semite. You are not an anti-Semite for not being on Israel's side. And don't let anyone convince you that you are. Don't let any bitch like Deb Philman convince you that you need to support foreign aid to Israel or else you're a mean anti-Semite. Don't let any bitch like Sloan Rathmouch convince you that you are a horrible, most hated person on the internet, anti-Semite, because you don't want to send $14 billion of our money to Israel, who doesn't even need it in the first place. You are not an anti-Semite just because someone else says you're an anti-Semite, in exactly the same way that you are not a racist just because someone else says you're a racist. Anyway.
Team. And I felt like I was a true representative of my country. But I hadn't really done any of this true work that was necessary for me to actually call myself a true captain and a representative of our whole country, because I was leaving out, I think, in my mind, because I have been only leading from the perspective of my life and my work. But as a leader, we have to think about the perspective of all the people that you're trying to lead, all the people that you're trying to inspire and motivate. So for me, I just want to just encourage those of us who are watching to take a beat when something comes up, right? If you start getting defensive or like, no, that's not me, that doesn't apply to my life, just take a beat, right? This is part of our work. This is part of our job as folks who do want to see change happen, but don't know how to start. This conversation right here, right now, can be that for you. Right. And for me, I'm just glad I married Glennon. She is the fiercest woman I've ever met. And she has held my hand through this process of uncovering my own internal racism or my own white supremacy in the way that has shown up in my life. You know, I believe, and I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a rant. I just believe deeply that we are all subject to this. And we have all been conditioned around this idea of social norms and these constructs that have been created before we were born. So though it might not be our fault, it is our responsibility, and especially as white folks, because we have been benefiting from our supremacy of this world. We have to do that work to unlearn and educate ourselves, our own selves, before we start tweeting, before we start commenting, because all of that stuff just shows how much or how little work you've really in fact done. So,
well, let me say this, Abby, also. Let me say this, right? I just also want to give you credit, right? I keep giving you credit because I want you to, I hear you often kind of reflect and not beating yourself up, but like rethinking perhaps where you've been. But one thing that stood out to me is in after this campaign was over on Wednesday and we had our debrief meeting with the group, and you and I text and you said, we're teammates for life, right? And so I appreciate that metaphor, I guess, because as a captain, as a leader, you take responsibility for a common goal with someone else. It's not about you as the individual and I'm going to win. You telling me that I'm your teammate means that you're on, I'm listening to you, Abby. You're like, my own supremacy. I'm like, yes, Abby, yes. You know, so you take something, you hear about it, you sit with it, you think about it, and you own it. It doesn't mean it's your fault. Exactly like you said, it's your responsibility. So again, I'm giving you credit, Abby. You're getting it. You're getting it.
It's not your fault that you are a beneficiary of capitalism, but it's your responsibility to overthrow capitalism so that you are no longer a beneficiary of it. That's basically what's being said. Oh yeah, this is a struggle session. It is. Just because Abby is willingly participating in the struggle session because she's been convinced by her wife, which is why lesbians are always a problem, Heidi. Because she's been convinced by her wife that she needs to do the work. Otherwise, she is not a good white liberal, a good ally. An ally is the gateway drug to comrade. Ally is the term they use. It's kind of like when my husband grew up in the USSR, and when he was in school, he was a pioneer, because before you became a full member of the party, the Communist Party, you were a pioneer when you were in school. And then once you graduate, you become a full comrade. Same thing with ally. Ally is like pioneer. It's the entry level point to comrade. I am sure I was a lesbian in another life. I'm sure, like I had to. My energy's too mad, or maybe I was like a really frilly kind of like feminine girl in another life, and so my masculine energy is like balancing that out. I don't know. Who knows?
No,
it's a journey.
It is a journey, and I will say this: this has been years of work, years of reading, years of listening, and also, by the way, years of making mistakes. You know, I have not been perfect in this process, and nor will you or anybody else be. But what I will do is continue to commit to it. That's the most important thing, because I do see a future, a better future, not just for the.
It's true. In addition to lesbians, gay men also love me. Bisexual men love me too, Terry. Don't leave out the bisexual, because I'm very fond of bisexual men. So don't dismiss the bisexual men. They love me too. Oh God, that's never gonna happen.
The world, but for my own self, because and you probably would know who the exact person was that said this. I'm actually doing myself a disservice, right? Because if I don't do this work, then I am oppressing my own self, my own vision, my own life.
And I think that,
yeah. So let's talk about one of the things that you posted early on.
I love that. If I don't do the work, I'm oppressing myself. The only way, it's like when we see the socialists say that the only way that they will ever be free is in a world free of capitalism. As long as capitalism exists, they will never be free. It's like Abby has just said, until I do the work of becoming a good ally to overthrow capitalism, I will never be truly free. Same thing.
In the day that you took over my IG, I want to talk about the definition of racism a little bit.
Oh yes, let's talk about that.
I thought that what you post was really fascinating, and I think that most white folks, like I said, it's the worst thing you can be called is a racist. But like you posted, and it was the first time I'd ever had this thought, how many times have you ever sat down and really thought about what the definition of racism really means? And I mean, I'm sure you have thought about.
It's going to be defined as systemic racism at the system level that fundamentally benefits white people, quote unquote white people. White, of course, means the bourgeoisie, the capitalist class, and disadvantages black people, who these people generally think that all black people should be socialists. But minimally, they think like black people who don't own private property, who don't have businesses, things like that. Let's see how their definition of racism lines up with what I just said.
About this more than me, but I've thought about it all week, and I want to talk a little bit through that with you, my thoughts and my feelings, right? Because I think that a lot of folks, white folks especially, we don't want to touch this thing with a 10-foot pole. But then again, we don't want to spend any time thinking about what it actually means.
What does it mean?
So for me, my definition of racism is the power and the prejudice mixed.
Oh God.
Racism is...
Seriously, Abby, we're going with prejudice plus power. I mean, where do you guys think the power comes from? The power comes from the system of capitalism.
Is this, it's not just about oppressing a specific race. It's also about power. And I think that power element is completely left out of, in fact, the definition that is written in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's trying to get changed right now. This woman, she's trying to get them to expand that definition to include this power element.
Oh!
But for me,
and that did happen in 2020. So this was in early 2020 because the definition of racism got expanded in Merriam-Webster's dictionary in like mid 2020. And the specific way that the definition got expanded is to define racism as systemic racism, which is what I just said, which systemic racism is a reference to capitalism because these people believe that that capitalism caused slavery, slavery caused systemic racism. The only way you can undo systemic racism is by getting rid of capitalism and creating a society built on equity. That is the definition today in the Merriam-Webster's dictionary.
And look, like let this be a conversation. Like, why did you post that, and why do you think it's important for especially us white folks to define what racism is?
I posted that because, in my work in Black studies, even in women's and gender studies as a Black woman, racism is a term that is completely overused in this country, right? Across the board. People are constantly saying, and I'm not just saying white people, I'm saying all of us. This is racist, that's racist, this is racism. And it very well could be. But again, as an educator, as someone who could get a first-year student in my classroom, I can't start the semester presuming that my students know what racism means. So then when the first question is, what is racism? And you can't answer it, right? Or you fumble around it, I know that you've never had to sit down and talk about it. You've never had to think about the various
ways. So what's
ways
the definition,
in which
Yaba?
it actually impacts our lives. And therefore, racism becomes the problem of individuals. I had one student say, I know it when I experience it, or I know it when I see it. And it's like, that's not necessarily the case. Or the one that really gets me is when you hear folks say, reverse racism, right? Just in the fact that
You're
you
right,
said reverse
it's just racism.
means you recognize that it goes in one direction. right? But in defensiveness.
That's why, by the way, you should never use the term reverse racism. This is one of the fundamental reasons I started pushing back against this term, and I do not allow this term to be used on my channel. I'm explaining something. The term anti-white racism, because it really should just be racism. If you're talking about racism, it should just be racism. Like, white people don't need their own special version of racism any more than black people need their own special version of racism. Anytime you are defining racism as, again, I don't allow this term to be used on my channel, but I'm explaining anti-white, you are doing what these people want you to do. This is what the groypers don't understand. This is what the identitarians don't give a fuck. The identitarians are just trying to recruit people to their toxic little corner of the internet. But the groypers don't understand this. Because anytime you are using an identitarian term, you are doing what these people want you to do. The groypers might not care about that because they want an identitarian society, which I think is fucking gross. But anyway. I was called a bigot just today for being against the genocide of the Palestinian people. So I don't know what you're talking about, Milo, because now the conservative right has started adopting exactly the same tactics as the woke left. And if you are against the genocide of the Palestinian people and you are against giving $14 billion to Israel, then you're a bigot. I learned so earlier today when I was called a bigot by Sloan Ratchmoose, who is like this aerobics instructor that pretends to know about social emotional learning, pretends to be anti-woke, but then runs around calling people a bigot on Twitter. So they're bringing it back. The woke people on the right are bringing... I warned about woke on the right in my book. I said there's this growing woke movement on the right. And everyone's like, Carolyn, what are you talking about? Woke is just about the social justice left. Oh, well, no. Now we have a full-on woke conservative right, and it all centers around fucking Israel. Anyway.
Oh, that's reverse racism. Again, you don't know what the term means. At one point in time, I want to say maybe 2011, 2012, we start hearing the notion of a post-racial. And what the hell is that, right?
2008, actually.
And so again, I just feel like racism, even in your, and I want to ask you.
We moved into a post-racial society at the end of 2008 with the election of Barack Obama. That's these people's definitions. That's not mine. That's these people's.
This power and prejudice definition that you came up with, or as you reflect on it, is that how you would have said it before last week?
Probably not. Truthfully, I mean, and I just thought that I knew what racism meant. You know, I never actually put much time into considering, because I thought that that's what the work was. I thought that that's what I was trying to figure out, but I actually wasn't specifically trying to go after that definition. And I think that that's like a really important starting place, especially for folks who don't know where to start. It's like, okay, you have to go to the beginning, right? Yeah. To be able to uncover anything that's going on inside of you, figuring out that definition. And you know, Glennon is like so versed on this, and she's done so much more work than I have, and so she's further along the spectrum than I. And so we've talked about it all week, and I think that it's so fascinating because as a white person, I have heard and I have been a part of conversations and situations where that reverse racism comes up and people talk about it. It's like the thing that that white folks kind of lean on as defensiveness against, oh no, I'm not racist, because well, there's this thing called reverse racism, but you can't have reverse racism because the power element. White folks are in power, and so you can't be racist if you don't have power, because you need...
What does she mean when she says white folks are in power? Pop quiz. What does she mean when she says white folks are in power, so you can't be racist against white people? What does that actually mean? Do not just say capitalism. Do not. I need a more specific answer. We're moving past where all my pop quizzes can be answered by saying capitalism. because everyone's figured that out. When she says white, like, yeah, exactly, that they benefit from capitalism, white people benefit from capitalism. The whole idea of systemic racism is that structural capitalism, exactly, Honest Abe, well done. They believe that white people are the primary members of like the bourgeoisie, the property owning class, stuff like that. White people own the means of production. Yup. Now, of course, that's not true. Of course, like, but when black people own businesses, when black people are entrepreneur, then they're talked about in like the Los Angeles Times as multiracial whiteness. White folks are the majority of property owners, and specifically how this relates back to skin color is that they believe, again, systemic racism was started by slavery, in which white people literally owned black people as private property. That's how it gets connected to race, because capitalism created slavery, which created structural racism or systemic racism. So when they say power, when they say racism is power plus privilege, the power is the ownership of private property. The privilege is benefiting from capitalism due to private property ownership. Does that make sense? The power is you own property, you own a business. You get to make decisions about what happens on your property, in your business, etc. The privilege is the system of capitalism that allows you to own the private property. Make sense?
Need the prejudice along with the power. And I think that when I started breaking that down and started to get really honest about it, you know, a lot of this work that I'm doing is just about getting really down to the truthiest truth about this stuff.
So let me jump in, because I'm jumping.
Go. Just
okay?
jump whenever. Yeah.
This is why I don't use the language of racism. Because even just to say power and prejudice, the individual will say, I'm not in power, I'm poor, I'm working class, I only make $20,000 a year, I don't own a house, I'm not as rich and privileged as you, Abby, I'm not privileged, right? It's too loose, and it's completely decontextualized from history. Like when we're talking about power, we're talking about historical power. We're talking about institutional power. We're talking about systemic power that you benefit from simply based upon how you look, right?
See, systemic power. That means systemic racism.
So again, I don't watch enough football, soccer to know, right? But let's say you had a Black woman on your team who was just as badass as you. For whatever reason, we're going to make a decision between Abby and this Black woman. And if what it means to be a captain means to be the face of America, to be on the billboards and on all the assets, we're going to go with Abby. It doesn't matter that the Black woman is more badass than Abby. It's about what it looks like and what it represents ultimately, right? And so again, when I posted the definition of white supremacy, why I continue to lean on white supremacy is because it gets very specific about what type of power we're talking about, right? And it's a historical.
So what she just said is, if Abby benefits from capitalism and the Black person does not benefit from capitalism because she's not selected to be on the billboards for whatever reason that might be, if Abby benefits from capitalism by being selected to be on the billboards, that makes her a white supremacist.
Power and institutionalized, and it tells us who should have power. Listen to the language. Who should have power and who should not. It's not just who does and who doesn't, who should. So if we're picking between Abby and this Black player, Abby should be the captain, right? Because that's more representative of America, right? Or Abby might, looking at this screen, Abby, your white face and you pretty white, blonde hair, right? My black face, and I'm pretty black, and kinky hair. The two of us on this screen, if we were silent, people would make different assumptions about you than they would about me. And I could be more educated, more successful. I could be richer.
You are
I
more
could,
educated.
hush now. I could have so much more than you. But if we were to play a game and say, who is this person with all of these accolades and all these things? And then who is this person who is struggling, trying to find her way? It's almost like a natural response to give the power and the accolades and the privilege. Of course you're going to be better than me. You're white. And that's the kind of thinking and training that white supremacy puts on us all. And so when I talked earlier about this notion of owning it, it's not just about avoiding being called racist, because this is the other thing, and let me be completely clear. I'm very happy and very thankful for the new followers, for the exposure that I gained from this campaign. I'm very thankful for the support that you've given me. But let me also be clear that your folks are coming to us.
I had never thought about lesbians having a top and a bottom, Heidi, if I'm honest about it. You've just introduced a whole new level of like lesbianism to me that I hadn't considered, and I'm going to be distracted by this. How, like, okay, we're not going down the lesbian top route right now. Okay, hang on. Focus.
For answers. They're coming in their inboxes for answers. They want us to help them find a way, right? And on the one hand, the language is like, I want to do better. I want to be a better person. You might, but ultimately you don't want to get in trouble. A lot of times when companies call me in to consult, they literally will say, we have this huge, massive problem. We'd like you to come in for an hour to talk. What the hell can I say in an hour? What can I say in an hour? And so what you want me to do is you want me to come in with a printed checklist on how not to be called racist. You're not owning it. You're not trying to critically think about it. You're not trying to engage it. You just want to put the checklist on the wall and say, well, I didn't do that today. I didn't do that today. I'm never going to do that. See, I'm not racist. But you don't even know how to think critically about what racism is, because you've never had to sit down and engage it. And even when you do, in so doing, it's for the express purpose of avoiding it. That's different than digging in it. You understand what I'm saying?
So this is so good. Yeah, it's so good because it's again displaying our own white supremacy, especially trying to slide into your DMs. Help me, fix me.
Oh, let me say something else.
Right?
Let me say something else. Because again,
I just want to say that anytime you guys are sliding into my DMs to ask me to do something or asking me for help when you haven't first subscribed to my Substack as a paying member, which is $8 a month or $80 a year at carlin.substack.com, every time that someone asks me for help when they aren't paying me to help them, they are a white supremacist. I'm seriously going to start saying that moving forward.
told you I'm an independent people's worker. I'm happy that your people want to give me their money and they want to support me. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you. Trust me. Thank you. But at the same time, when we start talking about intersectionality, which is white supremacy, which is gender, which is capitalism, American, white people, I need you to know that your money will not assuage you from your guilt. You cannot pay your way out of this. There aren't enough reparations in the world that you can pay us. And so you think because you write a check or you slide me something in Venmo that you're absolved and you can tell somebody, well, I gave Dr. Blay $100. I'm not racist. Dr. Blay is going to spend your $100 and still tell you that you're racist. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Right? And so again, you can't buy your way. This is not about, because again, and I'm sure my
Thank you, Heidi, for the clarification on lesbians. We appreciate. Heidi is our resident lesbian that keeps us up to date on all lesbian related activities. Thank you, Heidi.
Black colleagues around the world can attest to this. There is something about this moment. Your people are antsy.
Well, okay, so Mark is saying, hang on, this is We're going back to serious now. Everyone turn down the lesbian, okay? We're going back to serious. Mark says, so we will always be racist in their eyes. Yes, Mark, because the racism that they're referencing doesn't have to do with skin color. It has to do with the system of capitalism. That's what systemic racism is. And so when she's saying, like, you can give us reparations and we'll take your money, but we will never but this isn't over, essentially. Like, you're not forgiven just because you give us reparations. You're not forgiven just because you pay us money for things. You're not forgiven if you don't treat us any differently based on the color of our skin. In fact, they hate it when people don't treat people differently based on the color of their skin because they want to be judged based on the color of their skin. The only thing that we can ever do to solve systemic racism is to get rid of capitalism. That's it. The only thing that we can ever do to create equity in society, real equity, is to get rid of capitalism and to usher in Marxism. That's it. That's all we can do. Until we get rid of capitalism, there is no forgiveness. And this is why people need to know this. And this is why people need to really be aware that this is not about the color of your skin at all. There is nothing that you personally can ever do because they are not going to stop until they overthrow capitalism. That is the entire goal. And so you have to know that going into it, because you don't be gaslit into believing that there is anything that you can do to change these people, because there's not. Thank you, Heidi. I love you. Thank you for being here. But wouldn't they still think we're racist after capitalism is abolished? No, because remember, if capitalism is abolished, then we will have created a society based on equity in which all outcomes are the same. Because that's what they want. That's what equity is. The goal of anti-racism, as stated by Ibram X. Kendi, and remember, anti-racism means anti-capitalism. We know that because the socialists literally have a video called Anti-Racism Means Anti-Capitalism. There's also literally a book called Anti-Racism Must Mean Anti-Capitalism. Anyway, what Ibram X. Kendi says is that we will not fix racism until the disparity in outcome is at zero. And he's the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, right? And so when the disparity of outcome is at zero, that's when we will have achieved perfect equity, which means the only way we're going to do that is to be in a society based on Marxism, and capitalism will never allow us to do that. Because capitalism is based on individualism, meritocracy. There will always be have and have-nots in capitalism because that's just the way it goes. There will always be people who start from a more privileged position than other people because that's just the way it goes. But that's not what these people want. They want to reduce all disparities down to zero. Thank you for asking good questions. I do appreciate it.
Antsy. We're all getting calls. We're getting booked. They want us on the show. They want us to consult by Zoom. They're antsy. Where's the fire? Why you want to do it right now? When you've had we can do it. But where's the fire? In this moment, all of a sudden, you don't want to be racist? What happened? You know what I'm saying? And so again, my thing is like, slow down. So if you call me in to consult, in the same way, if you were to call a medical doctor in to come explain some, cancer or some kind of disease that people were experiencing, you wouldn't expect him to wrap it up in an hour. Respect this work. Respect that there are people who have studied and trained and learn.
What she's saying is not actually wrong. Like, you cannot change anything about an organization in a 1-hour presentation. That's actually true. But what she's really saying by respect the work is to engage her in an ongoing consulting agreement in which she becomes the beneficiary of capitalism because she makes a boat ton of money by continuing to go back and coach in this organization and train in this organization and helping this organization move to an entirely anti-racist system in which she profits and becomes the beneficiary of capitalism.
Learned about this in a way that we can now translate it for you to understand. It's about value. And again, for me, it all comes back to white supremacy. Why would you value Black lives? Why would you value Black history? Why would you value this information that ultimately holds you accountable? Why?
Yeah.
What's in it for you? So when you slide in my DMs and ask me for help or ask me to respond to something or to make a comment or what's your opinion, my question is, what's in it for me? Why should I help you? Why should I care that you don't want to be racist anymore? What's in it for me if you're just doing it to get the information and you get to go back to your privileged racist ass life? What's in it for me? Even if you pay me, if you're not going to commit to actually changing your life and doing something different in this world, leave me alone. Because now it's sport, it's entertainment. You just want to know. You're just curious. I do this work because it's to change the life of the people who look like me. I do this work for a reason. It's not just for money. I'm trying to change my life, the life of my daughter, the life of my granddaughters, the life of my family, the life of my friends, the life of my community, the life of my world. This isn't for money or for sport. So this isn't about you just being entertained. Oh, Dr. Blay, tell me what you think. Why? I'm tired.
People keep asking me to do this. I probably should. I was actually thinking about doing a Nitwits episode later tonight, Mark. Maybe. I'm not guaranteeing anything. But people keep asking me to do this, so maybe I will.
And so again, it's just so interesting. And I know, and I'm talking a lot, but my point is this. This is beyond memorizing definitions. This is about critical thinking. This is about questioning,
like critical
everything.
Consciousness.
Everything. And I'll say one of the highlights of my week, Abby, is I've heard from like 4 of my former students that I taught at predominantly white institutions who hit me up like, yo, you're right. Like, you used to tell us that we thought you were just talking smack, but you used to tell us it was a privilege to be in your classroom. And we were like, oh, whatever, Dr. Blay. But on the back end of this, recognizing, again, like you always say, most people don't have an opportunity to sit in a classroom and dialogue about race, about history, about things that will impact you. And so now they're grown.
Timothy says, what about health inequality? Well, first of all, Timothy, they don't care about inequality. The only thing these people care about is inequity. Remember, equality is a quality of opportunity. Equity is a quality of outcome. These people do not care about equality at all. They only care about equity, which is ending in the same place. So what about health inequity? I'm going to update the wording for you. Universal health care. In the ideal socialist Marxist utopia, everyone would have exactly the same access to healthcare because all healthcare is provided by the government. There are no private doctors because everyone works for the government. There are no private insurance companies. Those would be completely abolished. So when we have universal healthcare, then we will have health equity. That's what that means. Relationship equity. Well, they want to get rid of nuclear families. So they want to abolish the nuclear family because the nuclear family upholds capitalism through social reproduction theory. So ain't no more nuclear families. And everyone's going to have these kind of queered households that are going to be different types of mixes of people and like polyamory and stuff like that. So that's how you achieve relationship equity. So is love equity next? Well, yeah, because they want to abolish the nuclear family. Absolutely.
Now they're working in white corporate America. Now they're working in the real world. And they're like, yo, I actually wish I could come back to class because I have more questions now that I'm watching it play out in my life. You know, I have students, Black students who are brilliant, who have had to bring up.
Hang on, another super chat from Heidi. That's a good point, though. If you take out the racism stuff, get out of my DMs, ask me to do my emotional labor for you. Exactly. I'm seriously going to start saying that because like I get so many people that are like on Twitter especially, they're like, do you have proof of this? Do you have proof of that? And I'm like, go to my Substack. And they're like, no, I don't want to go to your Substack. Just tell me. And I'm like, well, like if you're not going to click on a link, then I don't know how I can help you. And I'm really tired of like you complaining about the fact that you have to click on a link. So yeah, it's white supremacy if you ask me to do something for you without paying me.
Discrimination cases against employers. And I know I can certify that they're brilliant, but they were being treated a particular way because of their race and or because of their gender and or because of their sexual, like, it's a lot.
Yeah, I get it. And I think that, one of the things that you just said, I think we should talk about, I think that white people don't know what to do. And so the white guilt thing that's happening, they're Venmoing you or sliding in your DMs, like, how do I?
Can you help me understand? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Abby. Can you help me understand this feeling of guilt? What you feel guilty about? What's that mean?
Well, because I think that from a very deep level, I think that all of us white folks know that our ignoring of this for over 400 years and are benefiting from this.
Benefiting from capitalism.
Something that I don't know from like a core soul level, folks can actually say, see, and want to acknowledge really truly exists. And so there's just this thing that can cover some of that shame. And that shame is that guilt, right? So for me,
so language again. Shame, I understand.
Yeah.
We can stay there. I understand. You should be,
yes.
And not as an individual.
No, right.
But from a lineage, right? From ancestors, and not even. I'm not even going to talk about that. What's interesting to me, and I say about white supremacy, why I need white people to own it.
This is gaslighting. What this woman is doing is gaslighting. I hope you guys recognize that. You are never obligated to feel guilty when you did nothing wrong. You are never obligated to feel guilty or to feel like you have any obligation to do something or to change your behavior based on how someone else feels about any given situation. You have obligations to no one. Even if they get mad, even if they call you a racist, even if they call you an anti-Semite, even if they call you the most hated person on the internet, you have no obligation to any of these people unless it's something that you yourself want to do.
Because I need you to understand how white supremacy also disenfranchises you, yes. How it disempowers you. And I mean from a spiritual level, yes. From a human level. White supremacy yes. robs you of your humanity. It yes. robs you of the ability to fully see yourself. It gives you a fake script and a fake mask to wear that many people can't even live up to. Or you don't even know that you're wearing. You know what I mean? So I understand the shame. And so being invested in white supremacy is to say, first you have to acknowledge, because this is the thing with the reverse racism and it's not me and all this, you haven't even sat still and shut up long enough to acknowledge that history is a problem and that history is still something that you benefit from. Stay there. When you say, what should we do? Sit still for a minute. First and foremost, stop arguing with folks. Stop redirecting. Stop being defensive. Do you know history? My thing is, don't say anything until you know this history. Argue with me about Christopher Columbus. Argue with me about enslavement. Argue with me. We're not going to argue about right now and whether or not somebody should have been shot or what they did to make the police feel whatever. Let's go back to Christopher Columbus. What's your argument again?
I just want everyone to notice the fake smile on Abby's face. And like, she has to keep her mouth in like that position to be like contrite but approachable. And it's just like, it's so demeaning. It's so gross that she's put herself in this position. And it's even more gross that her wife probably made her do this because she has to do this in order to be a good person. Like, this is basically a fucking hostage video. I hope people see this. She is in a hostage situation right now in a struggle session created by her wife. Don't ever allow someone to do this to you. It is far better to be hated by people, and I'm hated by a lot. It is far better to be hated by people than to allow yourself to ever be walked over like this, to ever be gaslit by this. Trust me, guys, there are billions of people in the world. If some people hate you, that means some people are going to really love you. And sometimes we don't always find the people who love us right away and for exactly who you are, not because of someone you're pretending to be on the internet. Like sometimes we don't always find the people who love us right away. And so it can be easy to think like if some people hate you, that means like you're a bad person and you need to change who you are to please people because these people hate you so much. But trust me, you will be able to find people who love you. But you have to be ready to shut the door and say, I'm not going to be treated like this. I deserve better than this. Because if you don't believe that you deserve better for this, then better is never going to appear. No, Tracy, she is not paying penance for her white sin. She's paying penance for her capitalism. She is paying penance for being a beneficiary of capitalism. I will repeat this as many times as I need to, guys. White supremacy is not about your skin color. It is about capitalism. Every time you hear whiteness, white supremacy, racism, anti-racism, you need to, in your head, think capitalism. Because it has nothing to do with your skin color at all.
What's your argument about enslavement? Let's start there. Because everything, it's almost like it just, what's the word I'm looking for? Devolves from that place.
It doesn't matter if Abby realizes that or not. She probably doesn't. How they get people, guys, it doesn't. I've had this argument so many times lately. Well, Carlin, no one knows that it means capitalism. And so really it is about skin color because no one knows it means capitalism. Do you assholes realize that the way they get people to bend the knee is by convincing them that they're a racist? Why on earth would you play into this delusion? Why on earth will you play into the delusion that this is about skin color? This is not about skin color. That is a made up fucking fantasy. Every single fucking clip I have shows that they use capitalism and whiteness interchangeably. It is a fantasy that this is about skin color. So can we stop pretending that that's real? Can we stop feeding this fucking delusion? Because people on the conservative right want to feel like they're victims of the world for being white. You are not a fucking victim of the world if you are white. There is no white genocide. That is a lie. There is no massive racist thing that's going on against white people. That is a lie. It is delusional. The number one enemy of these people is and always has been capitalism and private property. And so if you're not willing to call a spade, then how on earth do you expect people to ever learn how these people have manipulated language to gain power over you? Every single fucking time that white conservatives are like, we are oppressed because we're white and there are all these people that are racist against white people. You are playing into a delusion because it makes you feel better to be a victim of the fucking world. I'm not going to play into that here. You can cry and and say, but no one understands it's about capitalism. They all think it's about skin color, and it must be about skin color because we need to be poor victims of the fucking world. You can do that all you want. You might want to play into a delusion, but I am not going to play into a delusion. All of this is bullshit. And it's bullshit that's been perpetuated by conservative grifter influencers who are lying to you.
Yes.
And so it's why it's so important for us to learn history. So then there's a great book I've given presentations on it. And there are many more great books, but what's coming to mind in this moment is Lies My Teacher Told Me.
Exactly. Lies My Teacher Told Me, by the way, socialist book publisher. Socialist book publisher. They literally, that black woman, does Abby know? Does Abby know this is about capitalism? Does Abby know this is about capitalism? That black lady literally said it was about capitalism with massive emphasis earlier in the presentation. And so if Abby doesn't know that it's about capitalism, it's because Abby didn't listen to what was being said. If you don't know that it's about capitalism, it's because you are not listening to what's being said, because you want to be a poor white victim of the world who's just so oppressed because you have white skin, when that's not the truth. They are literally telling you it's about capitalism. You're just not listening.
Read it.
Yeah.
Lies My Teacher Told Me, because again, I mentioned this, I think, in the conversation with Tarana, when we start talking about definitions.
This is fundamentally untrue. Does anyone want to educate our ignorant friend here about how queer theorists are concerned with capitalism? Oh, wait, I'll tell you. Queer theorists believe that capitalism created the gender binary, and what they're doing in terms of introducing non-binary, which is the same as queer. Queer is a far left political ideology. Non-binary is specifically meant to abolish the gender binary, which they believe was created by capitalism. The reason that they're so obsessed with abortions and reproductive justice is because abortions are a direct attack on the gender binary, which was created by capitalism. They are also obsessed with the nuclear family, because when capitalism created the gender binary, it also created the nuclear family, and the nuclear family upholds capitalism, and they don't believe that they can abolish the gender binary and therefore capitalism until they abolish the nuclear family. So please tell me more, Tupac. Please tell me more about how you believe that queer theorists aren't concerned with capitalism, when the entire fucking basis of queer theory is built off the gender binary, which they're actively trying to queer by introducing non-binary into the process. No, asshole, it's not. Open your fucking ears and listen to what's being said. I have clip after clip after clip of them saying this. No, we're victims of the world. We're victims of the world. We're victims of the world. It can't be about capitalism. It just can't be. I literally have them on tape saying the gender binary was created by capitalism, which created oppressive gender roles, which put men outside the household and women in the household. And those oppressive gender roles created the nuclear family, and the nuclear family upholds capitalism. I have them saying it, bro. You're wrong. And you're wrong and uninformed because you are not listening to what is being said. Normativity refers to heteronormativity, which upholds the nuclear family. Homonormativity refers to gay people acclimating and assimilating to heteronormativity, which is about the nuclear family. Why do they want to abolish the nuclear family? Because the nuclear family upholds capitalism and the gender binary, which was also created by capitalism. You want to keep playing this fucking game? I will do this all day. You don't understand the ideas that you're talking about, and that's why you think it has nothing to do with capitalism, when I have literal clips of all of this. So you want to keep going? You want to keep fighting? I will keep slapping your ass down every single time until you learn to fucking listen. You let me know when you're done in the chat. We'll wait. Whiteness means capitalism, as outlined by Cheryl Harris in the Harvard Law Review in 1993, which defines whiteness as property, that means private property, which socialists use interchangeably with capitalism. And again, capitalism created the gender binary, which created the nuclear family, which upholds capitalism. Wrong again, bro. Wrong again. You want to keep fighting? We can do this all day. I'm very sorry that you're uneducated. I'm very sorry that your conservative influencers have lied to you. I am very, very sorry that you have no fucking idea what's going on. No, I'm not wrong. You are wrong. And you're not fucking listening. And you've provided no evidence to the contrary because you have no evidence to the contrary. You have literally zero evidence to the contrary, which is why all you can do is say, you're wrong, you're wrong. Oh, you're a researcher? You are a fucking shitty researcher, dude. You are a fucking shitty researcher. Do you want me to play you clips right now that you didn't find in all of your copious research that literally says exactly what I just said? Out of the mouths of socialists from the socialism conference? Do you want me to do that? You're a really shitty researcher, bro. You should work harder. Whiteness as Property, Cheryl Harris, 1993, Harvard Law Review, in which Cheryl Harris, by the way, literally says that black people can be white too. You're a researcher. You have one paper. You have one paper. Whiteness. How do you have whiteness? It's private property, bro. They define, listen, Tupac, I'm going to be very honest. I'm about to block your ass because I think you're far too stupid to be in my audience. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't block you right now for being too stupid to be in my audience. Because your research sucks. You don't understand what you're talking about. You're spreading wrong information in my chat. You're not listening. You don't care? Okay, fine. Goodbye. See how simple that is? Goodbye.
When we even imagine if the president of your country was responsible for writing the history of Barack Obama's presidency.
Typical conservative.
What history would your grandchildren be reading about Barack Obama? Understand that human beings wrote books. Human beings with opinions and ideas. So just because it's printed in a book doesn't make it fact. Just because it's called history doesn't make it fact. Again, critical thinking, right? So let's sit still, let's learn history, and then let's understand how it is that we got to this place. Because my thing is, like, if you come at me with some reverse racism, if I'm gonna be 100% real, again, given that history, why should I like you?
Right.
And it's not even about liking.
You shouldn't.
It's not even about liking.
Shouldn't.
It's not even about liking, because the other thing is these race conversations end up being, we are the world. I was driving here and saw a billboard that said, love one another. That's cute. But before you can get to like, before you can get to love, you have to get to trust. Why should I trust you, white people, given this history that you won't even acknowledge? So what if I don't like you? What you gonna do? Like, again, we don't have this conversation within certain groups. You wouldn't ever say to a Jew, get over it. Somehow you acknowledge something about the Holocaust. And again, this is not comparative.
I'm going to be very honest. I'm going to be very honest. I know this was filmed in 2020. With the last 3 weeks, I would actually at this point say, you guys need to get fucking over it, because you are literally genociding the Palestinian people right now. You are literally committing a genocide right now in front of the world. Perhaps we should move on. Perhaps we should do some inner work. Perhaps we should do some fucking therapy and get over the generational trauma. I understand it was horrific. I'm not trying to demean what happened with the Holocaust, but like the behaviors of Israel in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever, I would say get over it. I would say go to fucking therapy. Work out your issues, because it is not responsible to genocide an entire people because of what happened a long ass time ago.
I am not trying to compare trauma, history. I'm not. But what I'm saying to you is white supremacy has programmed you in such a way that you read the trauma experienced by people who are received as white differently than the trauma received by people who are not. You somehow value, for lack of better words, a Holocaust more than you value hundreds of years of enslavement and colonization. You respect Jews and that history. We've got museums erected You know that a swastika is a problem, but we're going to debate about the Confederate flag? You see what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean by white supremacy. It is programming you to even think about history in a particular way. It is programming you to write about history in a particular way. Because even history, if we understand that people are writing the history, which histories get to be written? Or when we watch the daily news, which stories get to be told? Right? And again, let me just throw out, I promise I'm gonna shut up. I'm on a roll though.
No, don't.
So when I think about this moment with people and all of their statements, right? Because I've gotten hit up by a few companies and brands who want help drafting these statements. And I'm like, enough with these statements. Don't you know that Black people are side-eyeing you? We all side-eye your
Bullshit.
statements.
I don't believe that actually happened, but okay.
Because what you value, you do. You wouldn't have to make a statement. I would know because you do, right? I don't care what you write. What do you do? So it doesn't matter. So for example, our good friends at Instagram, hopefully they don't cut us off for me saying this. I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes when you log in, or at least last week when I would log in, I would see this thing at the top with a Black Instagram logo that would say, we stand with the Black community in regards to everything that's happening. And I'm looking at it like, how, Instagram? Because what I know is somebody who manages another page with a high following, you police Black pages much more than you do white ones. You police us. You enact your so-called community guidelines on us more than you do white pages. You won't even allow us to hold you accountable in whatever way we choose to on our pages, because all it's going to take is 10 white people to say, I'm offended. I feel some type of way. Let's report this. And all it takes is enough of y'all to get together and report it. And here come Instagram telling me that my post violates community guidelines when you will allow folks to slide in my DM and call me a nigger. And I report that and you don't do anything about it. Or you allow people to have all kinds of racist stuff on their pages and we report them and you say that it doesn't violate your guidelines? Keep your statements, dog. Keep your statements. We don't want your statements. We want you to act right. Okay,
so
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I love all that.
I got excited.
I think something that came up for me during that, in terms of the difference between shame and guilt, I think shame looks backwards and guilt can look forwards. So maybe white folks who feel guilty when they're trying to slide in your DMs and pay you money is that they know themselves that they're probably not going to do all the work to repair the shame. You know, I think that everything that you just said, I mean, it rings so true. And the experience of a white person is vastly different in this country and world to the experience of a Black woman. And I know you do a lot of work with body politics. And I want to talk a little bit about that and what that means. And if you could just share with these folks what that means. And that's it. I mean, I'm very curious.
Okay. You tired? I wore you out?
No.
Okay.
No, I swear I didn't, Queen. I swear.
So it's interesting, for example, I am trained in Black Studies, like I said, but because Black Studies is interdisciplinary, many of us scholars work in a variety of departments, right? So in my last position, I worked in a political science department. I'm not a political science person. I don't even think I ever took a political science class in undergrad, right? But I was positioned in political science because of the ways I approach my work. So usually if I ask my students, right, if I say, I taught a class called The Politics of Hip Hop. I've taught a class called The Politics of Gender, right? What do those words, we hear that a lot, particularly in academic spaces. People, it sounds sexy. People say the politics of embodiment, or the politics of race. What does that mean? So for me, just in a very basic, how I'm gonna explain it to you way, anytime I say the politics of something, it means that there are negotiations of power at play. So if I say we're gonna talk about the politics of hip hop, this is not a music appreciation class. We're not going to go over lyrics.
It's a Marxist class. everything this woman teaches in college, the politics of this, the politics of that, the politics of whatever, it's Marxism. Anytime you hear someone talking about power, they're talking about this, they're talking about the haves and the have-nots, the bourgeois and the proletariats, and they will redefine those terms based on whatever suits them at the time, but it is always and forever Marxism.
We're going to talk about the history and the social context in which hip hop was birthed and what was happening politically, what was happening in the world that required Black people, because hip hop is a resistance movement. It's not just about a hard beat. You know what I mean? When we look at its origin, folks were resisting, not just here, but in the Caribbean, right? And so the politics of hip hop is something different than, let's say, the music aspect, if that makes sense. Yeah. So when I say the politics or body politics, or the politics of skin color, the politics of hair politics, we're talking about the negotiations of power at play. So for example, the politics of skin color, language again. A lot of people will use the language of colorism, which is applicable. I tend to use the language politics of skin color, because colorism, a lot of times people only understand in one direction, right? We talk about negotiations of power, we understand how it works across the spectrum. It's not just about dark skin versus light skin. It's about how does your skin color make meaning in the context of white supremacy? How does your skin color take meaning? Again, you and I on the screen, my dark skin reads very differently. My kinky hair reads very differently than yours. So when we talk about the politics of hair for many communities, us getting our hair straightened, us wearing weaves, of all kinds of body modifications, skin bleaching. Now we've seen women getting all kinds of body modification in their body. It's about the politics. It's about the power. It's about, I'm going to change something about myself to have more access to power.
That means access to capitalism.
Right? So if
Access
whiteness
to
is the standard
capitalism.
of power, then for Black people,
Capitalism.
the whiter I look, maybe. And again, it's not about, there is correlation. We do have statistics to say that, yes, it's real, right? It's not made up. But it is to say that even just on the possibility, it's not guaranteed, just on the hope that I can access this power, I will change all these things about myself. You've got women all over the world, not just Black women, Asian women, you know, even European, like women bleaching their skin, because the ideal of beauty has been positioned as light. So if I can do something about it, I will. Hair, I'm gonna straighten my hair, because if we position the white woman as the pinnacle of beauty, I don't stand a chance. There's, again, how does white supremacy train you to see things?
Capitalism.
I'm gorgeous. But if white supremacy tells you that I'm not, that's how you move. You're not even able to see it. I've had this conversation as a dark-skinned woman in dating situations, right? That having partners say things as if it's just the way it is, you know? Or I know being younger and being completely annoyed by whomever, I'm not gonna put anybody's name out there, but whatever light-skinned Black woman character was in whatever movie or TV show, and everybody falling all over themselves, she's so pretty. And I'm like, what are you looking at? Like, she's light-skinned, but like her features, she's not really bringing anything. I see this woman at the bus stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing regal or magical about her. She's just light-skinned. Or having light-skinned friends, women friends, say to me that
She's saying, Jerry, that like she won't be considered for jobs unless she looks a certain way and behaves a certain way, which is all about capitalism. She thinks that light-skinned Black people have a fundamental advantage over her with getting the job or having access to other things that uphold capitalism. So if we're talking about dating, dating is fundamentally a ritual to lead that will lead to the nuclear family, right? In our society. So they believe the nuclear family upholds capitalism. So the aspect of like dating, going out, finding a husband, that's all to participate in the capitalist system of the nuclear family, which was created by capitalism, which created the gender binary. All of these things are interrelated, but the thing of it is that you have to understand what socialists mean by these terms and the origin of these things in order to see how they're related. But everything that she has said so far does relate to capitalism if you understand how socialists manipulate the language.
Men try to holler at them from a distance. You can't see my face. You don't know if I have teeth in my mouth. You don't know anything about me. All you see is my skin, and you equate that with beauty, right? So when I do work on body politics, it is to say that it is so much more than preference.
Well, that's because you're not a socialist, though, Jerry. Like, you have a coaching business. Jerry, you are the black face of white supremacy. You have a coaching business, bro. You have a private business. You have ascended to whiteness. Congratulations. We'll send you a jacket. But that's because you don't buy into this because you're not a socialist.
Because that's the other thing that comes up when we have this conversation. You'll hear somebody say, well, I just prefer, light skin is just my preference, or I just like women with longer hair. That's just my preference. And there's a very fine line between preference and pathology. How did you come to get that preference? How did you come to get that preference?
Yep.
Somebody trained you to think that was like, again, this is what I'm saying about white supremacy. It robs us of our ability to think critically. We just take the script and roll with it, and it's not true. And so when I hear
many white people sorry, go ahead. It's like how many white people have said in their life, I'm not attracted to black people, right? I'm just not attracted to black people. It's just not a part of, that's not my preference. That's actually, I mean, this is the stuff that,
I mean, are you saying that people have to date people that they're not attracted to not be a white supremacist? Are you saying that they have to sleep with people they're not attracted to in order to be a white supremacist? I mean, if we're honest about it, there are a lot of women who do, there are a lot of white, okay, I'm just going to say it. If we're going to be honest about it, there are a lot of women who are very attracted to black men because they have giant cocks. Okay, maybe not all of them, but like disproportionately. So, I'm sorry. I don't believe it. I don't believe this is actually a white supremacist thing.
Which again is fine. It's fine. You don't have to be attracted to black people. That wouldn't make you not racist either. You see what I'm saying? Like, I want us to also be clear, right? Because I should also be able to say I'm not attracted to white men and it not mean anything other than I'm not.
Exactly.
Right? This is not about creating a system where now we all got to get along and everybody's beautiful and we love everybody and we've created this loving world. That's that surface fake. That's not what we talk. The real work is to think critically about why you do the things you do, why you think the way you do.
Yes.
That's it. And you make peace with it from there. Yeah. But if you don't dig
Jerry
into
knows.
It and you don't think critically, you don't get to say that's just the way it is. Because you haven't even thought about it. Think about it. If you still come up with that answer, that's cool. But you got to think critically about it. It came from somewhere. And 9 times out of 10, most of us have this great, awakening. Like, oh my God, that's where that comes from.
Yes. I mean, right now, I can't stop coming across it, right? Like, I can't stop. Now that I know how to think, because that's what I think you're saying is that learning how to think critically and what to think about allows the unraveling of this white supremacy inside my own being. And it's still, I'm still unraveling. I'm still trying to do this kind of work. But once you learn it, you can't unlearn it. And so you start seeing things and you start, I have a tendency to beat myself up about some of this, not just this, but everything. And it's like, gosh, I can't believe that you even thought that way, or you felt that way, or that you could even perceive it to be. But like you said,
of course you do. Why wouldn't you? And that's what I'm saying. Like that beating up stuff, we don't have time for that, Abby. You're wasting time. You just got to accept. Totally. You just got to accept that you got here because of white supremacy. You got here because of white privilege. You got here because of a particular trajectory of your life. There wasn't anything necessarily along before you knew, right? Because that's
See, this is fundamentally collectivist thinking. Because this woman, okay, like her or hate her, she is like she was a nationally ranked women's soccer player on the national team, captain of the national women's soccer team. She didn't get to become captain of the national women's soccer team based on her skin color. That's just not true. Like, there is no way. So what's going on is the black lady is basically saying, oh, I screwed up my knitting so bad. Ugh, gotta undo this entire row. What this black lady is basically saying is she's thinking about things in terms of a collectivist mindset. Whereas, like, the only way that you get to be the captain of the national women's soccer team is through individualism and meritocracy. Of course, capitalism requires individualism and meritocracy. Socialism hates individualism and meritocracy because individualism and meritocracy cannot exist under socialism. Socialism is all about the collective. When she's saying the only reason you got here is because you're white, that's why you're white. That's a collectivist mindset. Whereas the only way that Abby would have been able to achieve the career success that she has provably achieved is through individualism and meritocracy, which is an individualistic mindset.
Now that your eyes are open, you don't get to close them again. But all that time that you didn't know, what were you supposed to do? What in your life was happening that would have pushed you and said, this is wrong, change? Something would have had to happen because your normal supports white supremacy.
Totally status quo. Like, let's just, let's just try to keep things all the same. Absolutely.
Let it go.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit. We got about 15 minutes left, or however long you have. But last week, you and Tarana, you guys were talking about how it's important for white women to both know when to step aside and for black women to teach and when to step up and do the work for themselves so that black women aren't carrying it all. I just want to know.
All right, I got a super chat from Rottweiler. Thank you, Rottweiler. Funny how these socialists forget about love is love when it comes to pathologizing relationships in order to attack the nuclear family. I hate them. I hate them too, Rottweiler. I hate them as well. Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Because you're getting inundated with this. I want to know when white women should step up. Because let's say they've done this work. When white women should start actually asking questions, stepping up, and then how to do that.
Yeah, I think, again, this moment has us all antsy and people are just jumping so quickly, right, to want to reach out and get the answers. I mean, the most simplest, basic answer is like, we didn't have Google. Y'all have Google. And I'm not saying go to Google to get answers. I'm saying go to Google to search for top 10 books of 2019 on racism, right? Or there are all kinds of lists on the internet about best, books on look at the New York Times bestseller list, which is interesting. Right now, y'all go look at that list right now and get all those books. Read one of those books before you reach out to anybody. It's different if you're coming from a space of some level of something. Don't come to me completely cobwebs in your head and think I'm supposed to teach you. Because to me, that shows your investment. Because again, what's in it for me? Why should I help you? Get out of my DMs. Get out of my email. Unless you're inviting me to come speak to a group of people and you're paying me, unless you're positioning it in something that has some value for me, because again, yes, I'm doing work for my people. Yes, I'm doing work that is anti-racist. Yes, I want to change this, but your one little DM and me helping you don't make me feel like I changed the world.
I love this. Jerry's bringing it home to his wife. Dude, I remember having to reprimand my wife from posting the black square on her Instagram. She got so emotional about it. I didn't know how to explain to her it was a trap. I just knew it was. Jerry, she meant well. She did. She meant well. She thought she was doing the right thing. Just like Abby here thinks she's doing the right thing. Abby has, again, I feel bad for Abby. Abby is in a struggle session right now. She has been forced to do this by her guilty white liberal wife. And this is probably not something that Abby came up with on her own, probably because she's not that smart. But it's like she thinks she's doing the right thing. She's been told by people in her life that she's doing the right thing. It sucks, but it is all a trap. You're right about that.
Right.
Do your work.
Well, yeah, and you just said the word anti-racist, and that's I think the #1 book on Amazon bestsellers right now is How to Be an Anti-Racist. And I think that word is the word that I am trying to embody the most. And what I've been trying to do is to go through the entirety of my life. So not just personal, but also professional, and figure out what are ways that I'm contributing to white supremacy? What are ways am I holding back Black people, women of color, from the conversation, from the platform, from the environments that would then at hopefully some point level the wealth gap, level things. Maybe it takes way beyond our lifetime to get there.
Sure. But you contribute to it. I get it.
Right. Totally. And so I've been kind of deconstructing my life, not just, like I said, professionally and personally, but like the whole thing. And some of these non-negotiables, like that's what Glenn and I talk about. What are our family's non-negotiables? And I think that, there's this great post, things that you can do on a daily basis to ensure that you are walking in the direction of being or becoming anti-racist. Because for white folks, and this is a truth, it's scary to lose power, right? For us. Like that is the reason why that's the truth. That's why this has taken so long. That's why white people won't do the work. That's why white people are terrified to do the work, because when you want to give away some
power means capitalism.
That means you will lose something.
Don't ever fucking
and
give away capitalism.
On a really deep level, I think that we're just scared of that really happening.
Of course you are.
Yes, and for me, that I'm in a privileged position that I don't feel as scared as maybe another person would in a different situation. But what I do know is that is the human contract that I made, that starting this work is like, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be not just an ally, but an accomplice to making sure that every Black woman that I come in contact with, that I can look you square in the eyes and say, I'm doing my work, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm trying, right, to help. What are ways that we can specifically help you in your life and in your career? Not to be the white savior, not to be the people that can fix you, but I want my followers and people to know what we can do for Black women right now, specifically.
More generally, I would say that the hashtag Share the Mic campaign was one reflection or one example, perhaps, and just as a metaphor, not just on Instagram, but in life, right? So if in your office, let's say, you got 2 Black women who are there, right? And you are the head of whatever, and you know that you're going to be leading this big meeting, step aside and invite them to take the face, maybe. Right? I like this concept of sharing the mic. I like this concept of even when you and I connected, you saying, I'm going to get out of your way. Let's use that as a metaphor. Get out of the way.
Yeah.
When you know that Black folk, well, and you might not know. Let's just say, take my word for it. Right?
Good. Yes.
Put Black people at the fore. But again, it's hard and it's difficult because I also don't want to and I think that's what people struggled with last week with the Share the Mic concept. It's like,
yo, this was a good move, Jerry. Chicago is socialist as hell. I hope you're doing well in Hawaii. I hope you guys weren't affected by any of the fires or anything. That was a good move.
This notion of, on the one hand, like I said earlier, some of us don't have cable. We create our new media, our own media. We don't need white media. So we don't need you for nothing. We got it, right? There's something that's also offensive. And we feel offended at the idea that I even got to come to you that I even have to take, you know what I mean, the open door that you give me. But at the same time, as we recognize things as they are, if you give me the mic, I'm going to take it. If you give me a seat at the table, I'm going to take it. And when I take it, this is the other thing that I'm saying to us. Don't squander that opportunity now. They gave you the opportunity to talk. This is not about making people feel comfortable or that your friends. Speak the truth ultimately. Like, we need truth tellers out here. And we need the opportunity to tell our truth. We don't want to be policed. We don't want to be scripted. I can't tell you how many times I've been in situations, even with Black folks, especially with Black folks, right? When we think of nonprofits, when we think of media organizations that have big money coming from white foundations, and then you come with this brilliant idea of how we're going to put Black people at the center, and their concern is the money. And so though I have a message for Black people that I want to give, I'm supposed to measure that because ultimately I got to make white people comfortable. That's no, get out of the way. We need white people to say, you know what? Here's the money. It needs to be done. You don't have to ask me nothing. I'm not checking in. I trust you. If you know what needs to be said, say it. But I'm not going to insert myself because the other thing in all the dynamics, as much as you talk about, oh, we're scared of being called racist, some of y'all are scared of being called, dare I say, radical? Dare I say revolutionary? And that's
dare I say radical? Dare I say revolutionary? Look, you can see it on the screen. Some of you are afraid of being called, dare I say, a radical? Dare I say, a revolutionary? What does radical and revolutionary mean? Pop quiz for the chat. When someone says you're a radical or a revolutionary, and they're an anti-racist educator, what do they mean? No, but the answer is not capitalism. When someone says you are a radical or a revolutionary, what does that mean? That means socialist. You are a radical revolutionary socialist. You want to overthrow capitalism. You are a Marxist. You are a comrade. You are a Marxist. You are a communist or socialist. You are a socialist comrade, a Marxist revolutionary. And when they say revolutionary, what are they trying to overthrow? What is the revolution against? Is the revolution against white people? What do socialists, radical revolutionary socialists want to overthrow? You've been waiting to say it all night. It's a one-word answer. What is the revolution against? Is it against white people? Or is it against something else? The revolution is against capitalism. It's against capitalism. It's against capitalism. Capitalism is what they want to overthrow. They don't want to get rid of white people. They don't care about white people. Yes, Kurt, it is capitalism time. You can say it. Capitalism. That's what they want to overthrow. And it has nothing to do with skin color. If you are a white socialist, they don't care about your skin color. Trust me. They really, really don't. Well done. All right, guys, we got about 10 more minutes left of this presentation. I want to thank everyone for coming out to Happy Hour today. We do this on Fridays at 5 p.m. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. The next time I will be going live, if I don't do a Nitwits episode tonight, which I might, not for sure, but I will definitely be live tomorrow at 6 p.m. for Socialism Saturday. I'm going to find us a great radical revolutionary socialist presentation to watch. But thank you guys for coming out. Please do double check to make sure you are subscribed on whatever platform you're watching on. You got those notifications turned on. And of course, this is your last chance to mount the like button for me. Let's finish up.
Why I think I posted this in the judgment free zone that I did on your stories last week. That's why I don't even eat Ben and Jerry's, but Ben and Jerry's is all right with me. You know why? Because their statement went hard in the paint. Their statement was like white supremacy. You know, there's so many memes about how like Ben and Jerry's is coming into the space whereby all these other companies are tiptoeing around it. You know, can't we all get along type of rhetoric? And Ben and Jerry's is like, yo, this is white supremacy and we're not here for it. We want to support. That's what I mean by accomplice. Be that white person. Yes. Recognize that we need people in power.
Be the very best comrade you can be.
We are the ones who are living this life and being oppressed by this system. Trust us when we say it.
The system is capitalism.
So that we can do it. And so for me, it's like, get out of the way. For me, it is to support financially, but don't think that financial support.
Jerry, they don't realize, and you're asking a lot of great questions, Jerry, which is why I keep responding to them. So I appreciate the good questions. I always appreciate when people bring questions to the chat. The reason small businesses embrace Marxism is because they don't realize that if Marxism is successful, then they will no longer have their small business. They don't put two and two together. It's an abstract thought for most people to have private businesses completely outlawed. They don't understand that's what the end goal is.
Court takes you off the hook. It just means that you put 5 on it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that, because the other thing that's happening, is understand that Yaba Blay is not pay-per-view. This is not transactional. Just because you gave me $20 doesn't mean I owe you an answer to anything. I don't work for you. If you're going to give me the money because you want to support the work that I do, drop the dollars and go away. It doesn't mean we're friends. It doesn't mean I like you. It doesn't, because that's capitalist thinking.
That's
you
capitalist thinking.
You now deserve, or you earn something. Let me say this, Abby.
Capitalist thinking.
White people, you haven't earned our grace. You haven't earned our respect. Earn it. Do the work to earn it. We don't have to.
And doing the work to earn it means overthrowing the capitalist thinking. They're saying it out loud, guys.
Earned it.
And this was in 2020.
That makes me feel a lot. And I think that is a reckoning for all white people, that we have to be able to sit with that. And, you know, you talk about the word trust, and we'll let this be the last little conversation we have for this hour. You know, Bozoma St. John, she is one of the leaders who organized Share the Mic Now campaign last week. And when we started this conversation and early conversations, she said, listen, trust has to be built upon relationships. And she and Lovey were the women who found the Black women, and Glennon and Stacy were the women who found the white women to join together and to create this amazing campaign. And I think very
thank you,
deeply
settlement.
about
Yes,
this word
it is.
trust.
It's always about the money.
I can understand why every Black person in the world would not trust a single white person. Duh, right? But here's what I have to say about that. It is possible to start the process of earning trust with individual Black women from a white person's perspective. And that is by getting in relationship with them, by
genuine relationship. Not because you're trying to feel better today. Not because you need somebody to parade around and say, see, I have a Black friend. Genuine relations. And I said this to y'all, and I'll say this to everybody else. When we had our debrief, I said, I know we're proud of the group and what we did with this campaign, but I need y'all to clap for me, because understand, Yaba don't have white people in her intimate circle. Yaba doesn't actually, I don't have white friends. Like, I have white colleagues. I have white people that, you know, we're cool and we, you know, kick it when we see each other, but like our kids not playing together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how Black I was raised and socialized. Right. So for me to say, quite honestly, like, I feel like you're my friend, Abby, is because you did things to make me feel like you were genuinely trying to be my friend. This was not, and I can't speak for all the other pairings in the campaign, but you know, Toronto feels the same way about Glenning. Like, you're doing what you value. You're showing me that you are trying to get it. You want to work beyond the campaign. You said to me, even when this is done, let's talk. What do you need?
Yes.
Genuine, not just I need a Black friend, not just I need some way to feel better and prove that, you know, because again, it's that shame piece. So it could be that kind of.
She's trying to make her believe that there's something that she can do to like not be a racist, when Abby hasn't yet fully understood that there's literally nothing that she can do. There's nothing that she can do until capitalism gets overthrown. She's still going to be the punching bag.
Thinking, well, if I can make a Black friend, then I'm different than everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, build genuine relationships and build relationships in such a way that Black folks get more out of the relationship than you do.
It's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, it reminds me, you know, Glenn and I are both sober. And so the way that we have built the foundation of our relationship and our marriage and our family relationship is built upon values, right? And something you just said just really rang true, is whatever you spend your time doing is really what you value.
Mm-hmm.
So some people, right, they say, oh, I value my family, but then they spend their whole life at work, right? Do you really value?
Well, Zettelman says she's taking advantage of her better nature. Yeah, I mean, well, and this is what socialists do, is they prey on people who want to be good people, who do like believe in like fairness and justice, and they're like, I don't want to be a racist, like I want to be a good person, I want to have Black friends, or like whatever. But like it is taking advantage of like someone who's trying to do the right thing and doesn't know how to do the right thing. And what Abby doesn't understand is there's no way to do the right thing in this relationship. Yaba's playing a different game than Abby is playing. Yaba knows that. Yaba knows what she's doing. Yaba's a true believer. Abby doesn't know the game she's playing. It's a sad thing. Like, she's literally, like, Abby is literally being taken advantage of before our very eyes. This is not a stupid woman. This is not an incompetent woman. This is a woman who became the captain of the fucking national women's soccer team. That's like a big deal. And she's just being dragged along like a whipping boy. It's a sad thing. It's like pathetic. It makes me feel bad for her.
Your family. And then people who are doing this work, I value Black lives. Black lives matter, right? Well, what are you actually doing to prove on a daily basis that it does matter to you, right? Are you donating? Are you educating? Are you marching? Are you protesting? Like, those are just like real simple things that you can do and not tell anybody about it.
Right. And this is the other thing. This is what I really want to say. We don't need y'all out in quote unquote diverse spaces. We don't need you showing yourself out in the world like, look at me, I'm not a racist. We need you to have a conversation at the Thanksgiving coffee table when your racist ass uncle is saying crazy stuff. We need you to check him. We need you to talk to your own people because they're going to listen to you. We need you, Abby, to say to your folks like, yo, this is how I get down, or I'm not into that. We need you to check your own people so we don't have to. Like I had a company.
Hang on, I got a super chat from Rottweiler. She is telling her, I don't like you, I don't need you, I don't trust you, to her face, and she just smiles back. She's like, yeah, I know you don't trust me, and I know you don't like me, and I know you don't need me, and here, can I give you more money? I know you won't like me if I give you more money, but like, here's more money, and here's more fame, and here's more followers, and please just like me. And Yaba's like, nope, I'm never gonna like you. Because it's not good enough. It will never be good enough. Well, in the capitalist system, you cannot buy my love like the capitalist system. It's so pathetic. Guys, please never allow yourself to be used by like this. Never allow yourself to be abused by this. You don't have to take shit from anyone. And again, it doesn't matter if people hate you. If people want to hate you because you're not going to take their shit, then let them hate you because they're not worth worrying about in the first place.
Reach out to me. They're doing, and I can't say, but they're doing something big. They know that the community is going to respond to it. They wanted me to consult with them about how to approach the programming. And I said, the people who are going to come to programming are going to be the people who are resisting this thing, which means they're likely people who are racist. I'm not putting myself in front of them for you. Get somebody white to do that. Talk to your own people.
Yes.
It could be a train the trainers kind of thing. I can come train you how to talk to your people, but you're responsible for having that conversation at the
No,
at the
you're
dinner
not.
table.
You're not.
You're responsible
You're really
for checking
not.
the other parents.
No,
who are
you're
talking
not.
crazy about Black kids.
No.
Or Black wherever it is. If that's
You're
your
not
job,
responsible.
You're responsible for white people.
No.
I'm not responsible.
I'm not. I'm an individual. I'm not responsible for shit except for me.
And you know, it's part of our job as
You are responsible for nothing except for you. To say that white people are responsible for all white people is a collectivist mindset. You are not responsible for anyone but yourself. Zettelman, thank you for the super chat. I feel like this can't work on someone with an ounce of self-respect. Well, I think that's true to a certain extent. Someone had to demoralize her first. Yeah, you know who demoralized her? Her wife. Her wife forced her into this. So, yeah, I mean, people with self-respect don't allow themselves to be berated on the internet for an hour. I'll tell you that. I agree.
white women now to not center ourselves. That's been something that I've been reckoning, because added to the fact that I have this white supremacy and white privilege, I also have on top of it a whole big dollop of a little bit of fame and
Just a little bit
recognition, you know? So like that compounded, I have a problem a little bit with centering my own self just because I got a healthy ego on my shoulders. But taking us and ourselves out of that equation, I think, has been really helpful for me. I mean, Glennon, she points it out now, because I told her, I was like, I need you to point out when I'm centering myself.
Glennon is her
pointing
wife.
it out. It's like, oh wow, like having somebody close to me who I trust, who can check me and hold me accountable for some of these things that have become such a habit in my life, is really helpful. I mean, listen, I know that I don't want to take any more of your time. You're
not taking my time. We're talking. But we might get cut off.
Say hi. Glennon wants to say hi really quick.
Who's that? Hi, Glennon.
There's the wife. There's the guilty wife.
I've been just out there listening to every word of this. Real hard
so
not
cute.
to comment. Real hard not to comment.
Cute.
I
mean, look how beautiful she looks.
I just want, that's because you've been trained to see me as the pinnacle of white supremacist.
Yes, Glennon.
Wow.
That's because I spent the first 40 years of my life trying to match that mold, and it worked for me, and now I'm done with it. But
the guilty wife.
I just want to tell you too that I've never seen, usually with IG lives, people, you know, they drop off. More people kept joining and stayed the whole time. You too, that was you. So good. So good. Okay, that's all. I just love you. You're so freaking smart and fierce and wonderful. And I just can't wait to learn from you for the rest of my life. Okay,
oh
bye.
my God. What a guilty white liberal bitch.
She's the dearest.
What a bitch.
She is something else. I tell
Yes,
you
she
what.
is. Yes, she is. And she and Toronto will be in conversation as we are this evening. So I'm excited to see them work it out too.
Yeah, 5:30. I think it's on Glennon's IG.
Mm-hmm.
But Dr. Blay, I am the one that is so grateful for our. I mean, it was just kind of luck.
Thank you for bending me over and spanking me
but I'm
for
so
being a
grateful
white lady.
because
Thank you.
something that I am
Thank you
going
for
to
abusing
hold
me
my
and gaslighting me
agency,
and
my people
manipulating me.
to is trying to get us on a stage somewhere.
That'd be dope.
I believe deeply that this is the very beginning of something beautiful that's going to continue to grow. So I'm saying it to my folks, like I'm holding myself to account here, that I'm so grateful that for the labor that you put in last Wednesday, because I know that was a really hard, long day. I hope that I can just keep learning from you and keep exploring this whole new definition of white supremacy that you have just dropped on my little lap over here, given me so much to think about, and just different context. I mean, to bring the context that you not only brought to this conversation, but bring to the world is going to save people's lives, and it's going to save my life.
It's going to usher in
from my
socialism
own self and my own conditioning. You are truly a blessing. You are
stunning and brave and beautiful.
And I am honored that we got paired together, honored to share this hour with you. Thank you so much. I love you.
And love you too. Thank you.
I can't wait. To talk next. Maybe we can make this a monthly thing. I don't want to waste your time, but
I'm down.
I value you.
But
so
white people
much.
gotta pay.
Yeah, let's go.
Capitalism until the
Let's go.
very fucking
I'll
end.
pay
Until
you.
the very end. Oh
All
my
right, Dr.
Thank you,
Blay,
Abby.
Thank you so much. Have
Of
a good rest
course.
of your day.
You too. Bye.
All right, guys, that is all we have for this happy hour. Thank you for joining me again. I will be back tomorrow for Socialism Saturday at 6 p.m. Please make sure you mount the like button on the way out the door. Take care, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you soon.